go. Green Bay to the line. Rodgers sends 3 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. Lions have a 3-man rush. A sack would end it. Final play of the game. Rodgers out of the gun. He's back. They need 61 yards and a touchdown. Rodgers rolling to his left. Being chased, slips the tackle. Rodgers is stepping up and lofting it deep down the field into the end zone. It is up and it is caught. Caught by the Packers. Richard Rodgers for a touchdown. Oh no! Unbelievable. Rodgers on the final play of the game slipped inside of all the defenders in the end zone and made the catch for the score. 61 yards, and the Lions have lost. Unbelievable.
Lions fans at halftimes were all like, how many wins we gonna get?
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. Hey.
Lions fans after the game are like, how many losses are we gonna get?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3.
So it's been a long couple weeks off. We had some highs. We had some lows. 3 straight wins. Blow out Philadelphia. Come back home. We're on a high. Halftime, we're winning. And we suffer the worst loss in recent memory for the Detroit Lions. What do you guys think?
The worst loss since Seattle, if that's recent memory.
And then the worst loss, Seattle was the worst loss since Dallas.
Is it possible, like, for one team in one calendar year to have lost so many games like that?
In that type of way?
Yeah.
Or in, like, different, like, storybook type, ridiculous, horrifying endings, yeah.
Calvin Johnson catch, the Louis Delmas tackle on the Houston Thanksgiving game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are just, I'm sure I'm forgetting about 5,000 other ones, but...
Yeah, I feel like we literally could write, like, a small book just about, like, Lions losses, bad Lions losses, stuff that tears your heart out.
We should have a 12-step program, and Mady will run it, and it's called, like, beginning a life in, like, disarray, being a Lions fan or something like the 12 steps to accepting terribleness.
It wouldn't be bad, too, like, you know, especially for the kids that are up and coming and, you know, their fathers and mothers and, you know, family take them to Lions games. I feel like they should be warned. There should be, like, a slight disclaimer in becoming a Lions fan.
Yeah, and it's like, speaking to the Vince Longos of the world, the guy posts, or fans like him, and, you know, we all still have that fan in us somewhere, just deep down, of, like, optimistic stuff that he posts, and it makes me feel good. I always tell him that it makes me feel good.
Oh, man, like, I need stuff like that because a little bit of me died on Thursday night there. I couldn't even handle it. Like, after the Seattle game, I remember...
Like, my whole body is dead. I have, like, just scar tissue, so I'm just I'm Bruce Willis. I'm unbreakable.
Like, after the Seattle game, I couldn't sleep, and I just was watching NFL Network and watching everything, and this time around...
I didn't think I could be angry.
I was so angry that I was like, I don't want to see anything else, and I went to sleep, and I was like, the NFL is dead to me.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
The loudest I've heard Ford Field in the last several years was after Calvin Johnson's touchdown catch in the game against the Packers, and the quietest I've heard Ford Field in the last several years was after the Hail Mary. So I mean that kind of is a tangible barometer of the highs and the lows in that game. I mean that's it.
Now we know what the Tennessee Titans feel like. At least it was like their starting quarterback, though, not their backup.
Well, yeah, but then you want to speak of disappointing losses, and that's when we go into the game, the overtime. storming back, about to get a win with your backup quarterback, and then Dominic Guerrero runs a one-man quarterback sneak. Well, the rest of the line, including the quarterback, didn't run the play. It was just him solo. So you could.
But we still had that feeling when he did throw the touchdown.
It was so good, the comeback, too.
Yeah,
it was
great.
so good.
But
And how?
It's not a
Because
comeback.
it was
You don't
like
win, though.
No, I know.
no. It was a comeback to
It was
force
like
the tie.
It was like
It was a tie.
the rally
They
cap
did
was on.
come
You
back.
forced a tie, and then you flipped your hat in because you're like, this
Yeah.
is a new game, and it's like it's
they
over.
they did come back to tie it, but they didn't finish off the comeback.
That's one of the
Get
games
them.
to add to the heartbreaking loss. See, that's a completely self-inflicted wound, but nevertheless.
I feel like most wounds are self-inflicted.
Especially with the Detroit
I
Lions.
really do. Like as much as
Like Calvin Johnson trying to do too much. I mean, like it's self-inflicted. I
Yeah.
love him.
Most of them are. I mean, like, at the end of the day, they all are, right? Because even if you're not so close in a game, and I think that's part of it. I'd love to run a study on, like, blown calls and these types of things. That
Can't let the games get close.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't.
you're leaving the game up to one call.
And we certainly had a lot of stops there in the late in the third and in the fourth where we got the ball back and we couldn't march down the field and get any points ourselves.
That's exactly it. In hindsight. Like you look at it, and it's like we put
We
ourselves
gotta
in
score.
that position.
Yeah.
Like we just don't know how to finish teams. Like I feel like we don't know how to finish good teams.
Like, that's the next step.
We destroyed the Eagles, but that's just not. It's not
The
a good
Eagles-
team, even though they did beat the Patriots this week, which is kind of crazy.
It is. That's absolutely
It's
crazy.
unbelievable.
Patriots
After
were the
two
Super
huge
Bowl.
But
losses.
isn't that like what Mike Meady says every week after a blowout loss? Is like the next week coming up, you better watch out because they just got embarrassed. And when you get embarrassed, you get pretty
It
upset.
took the Eagles losing to us.
2 embarrassments.
Well,
Yeah.
and the Patriots.
ultimate one was the
Because-
Lions.
The,
Yeah,
the
on national
Patriots.
TV.
Yeah, you can't if you get blown out by
Well,
Lions.
Washington was the other one, right? So it's not like they're getting
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you get blown out by Lions, I don't care who you play next week. You're getting a win. You're
It's like an
somehow-
almost guarantee.
Well, the Patriots had a lot of injuries too.
They definitely did have a lot of injuries, but it's still the Patriots.
Yeah.
They could like plug in the water boy. It seems like he'd probably make through.
Yeah, I mean,
catches.
you could say the same thing for Aaron Rodgers. Like, who's he got receiving his passes? Someone who is like among the league leaders in drops and
James Jones out there, man.
yeah,
What are you
yeah. But Slay had him covered. Slay is shut down
Did
now.
nothing. He's done nothing. Slay is pretty awesome.
Slay's
Too bad he
amazing.
wasn't out there. Oh wait, he was out there. He was probably on the back line of the end zone. There.
I mean, what can you do if you're like completely undersized against
I feel like I said, like in hindsight, your initial reaction is like that wasn't a face mask or whatever. But like
The whole drive.
and no matter what, okay, maybe it wasn't a face mask. He shouldn't have put himself in that position.
No.
Especially, he should have known he couldn't go anywhere. He couldn't throw the ball. You had 2 guys there. All you could have did was kind of hurt him out to the sidelines, and that's it. Game's over. Like, don't go towards his head. And then you look at Caldwell and
The whole drive was a complete mess. Like, there were blown calls on 3 different plays, including the game-winning play. There was a massive block in the back. The face mask is like kind of forgivable because, like,
It
if
looked
you're an
like a face
NFL
mask.
referee and someone jerks their head or like
It
has
looked
the
like a
shoulder
face
pull,
mask.
it kind of did look like one. I mean,
looked exactly like one. It wasn't.
it's
but
like, are you
it
really gonna
looked
just
like
are you
one.
really gonna be mad and like show the referee the still image of him not grabbing the face mask? It's a still image, whereas real time his head jerked around. And
I heard Eric Ebron tweeted it out to all the referees. Actually, sent personal.
The referees have a
emails.
collective Twitter account.
I think
Hashtag
he got all the
NFL
personal
referees.
ones and he sent it out with the ...
Did he just tweet at zebras and like didn't realize that it was?
I could see
thought-
him actually doing that.
I thought the referees didn't have a collective anything, and that's why they were bad.
Yeah, they seem to have a pretty decent bank account for working part time. But that's a story for another day.
The NFL needs to step up its game in terms of officiating. It's been a pretty bad year, like a very highlighted last 365 days. If you include like the Detroit stuff, then the Des Bryant stuff, then like you talk about the stuff against the Lions, or like the Patriots have even been complaining of all people have been complaining about officiating. It seems like week to week there's always a huge blown call that changes multiple games in the NFL.
Yeah, do you think that like the focus for the NFL is more so on, I don't know, small stupid battles like, with Tom Brady and suspending him, but instead of doing something like, trying to iron out like their officiating and actually have something in place that works. Whereas like this hasn't worked for years. There's been tons of complaints.
No, and Tom Brady's been cheating for years, so they
Exactly.
don't even do anything about that.
Yeah. Why all
He's
of a
been
sudden,
playing with deflated balls definitely for his whole career.
Oh, for sure he probably has.
And it like at the end of the day, I don't really care about any of that stuff. But if you say that this year is an all-time low for officiating, I mean, you obviously have to do something. You're the NFL, like you're arguably one of the biggest sports leagues in the world. And
What else is bigger besides FIFA?
maybe FIFA. That's
it. Yeah. And
so
we know FIFA's track record.
yeah. So I mean, like, how do you just not have professional referees that have to go through? Well, I'm sure they do go through training and stuff like that, but how do you not have like? I don't know. Like the players have a union.
It makes no sense, and they get paid what, like $250,000 a year as part timers.
That's kind of good. That's good pay.
That's good pay. Yeah, exactly. So why not pay them a little bit more and tell them that this is a full-time job and they don't have.
I think you don't have to pay them
jobs on
more.
the
I
side.
think like I'm going to take away your $250,000 amazing job.
Okay, exactly. Then
If you don't do, or like start fining them if you have like maybe 3 games where we have to apologize you for one of your missed calls in a year, we're going to dock your pay.
I think that what they need to do is you can go to NFL.com, you can click on team stats, you can click on player stats, so there needs to be a referee stats. And there needs to be like a
That would be
blown
good,
call
actually.
percentage, and you need to be able to be like, Ed Hockley, you suck, you're cut. Like, seriously, there's no accountability for the ref.
No,
I mean,
there
there's a
isn't.
little bit, but like, you know, you're going to get, I think a referee crew got demoted and weren't able to do a Sunday Night Football game or something like
Yeah,
that. But
nothing-
like,
nothing
that's
major.
good. If I was a ref, I don't want to do Sunday Night Football. I want to be home at like 5 p.m., not at, you know, an overnight red-eye flight or whatever it
Yeah.
is. So, I mean, I think that all this replay conversation and stuff, you'll never be able to fix it with replay. I think you have to have measurable, quantifiable accountability that the average fan can see and point at, and referees are directly held accountable the way the players are.
And we know you're not going to be able to fix it with replay because there hasn't been a time in the NFL's history where replay's been more existent and more used than now.
yeah.
And this is one of the worst years that I can remember for
But then
officiating.
too, there's certain things that aren't reviewable, which should potentially
Yeah.
be reviewable. Like in that case of the face mask, I feel like anything in the last couple minutes
In the
should be
NBA,
reviewable.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
the
it's-
NBA does it. If it's like a game-changing play in the last few minutes of the game, nothing is not reviewable.
That's
Everything
tough,
is reviewable.
because like,
If it's the last play of the game, what's the difference? If you said right now,
because then what about the face mask
actually-
that happened in the second quarter that was just as important? It's just because it wasn't in the last minute for against the other team, you know?
because
That's not fair. You can't do that.
No, but I'm saying if that's what you decide, the last play of the game is the most important
But
play.
it is though. It technically is the last 2 minutes.
That's
are
what the
most
NBA
important.
that's what the
and
NBA
that's
does.
and that's how it should be. Like I totally understand your argument saying that like, okay, well there was a face mask in the first quarter which cost us a drive, blah blah blah.
I'm talking
and
about
such, but
that from an
it-
NBA
But that's why the
standpoint.
game
This
was
is-
so
this
close
is-
in the first place because of that other blown
Yeah.
call
Oh,
potential.
potentially. Why did the Packers get back into the game? Because
I'm not
of,
saying
of,
it's-
more
Some
chances,
pass interference
pass
calls.
interference
Yeah.
calls
I'm
that
not
were
saying it's
phantoms.
perfect.
That it's not going to be perfect.
I'm not saying
but-
it's perfect, but I'm just
No.
saying that's what the NBA does. Like if you're looking at that kind of in a vacuum, then you can go back. If there's 0 on the clock, and it's kind of anticlimactic, especially in this type of scenario, for a referee to walk on the field and to say, actually, you know, this play was it was at 0 seconds. It wasn't a penalty. That's the game.
And it should. And the thing too is like the same night I watched the Leafs lose a game. Again, I'm talking about hockey on this podcast. But I watched the Leafs lose a game because they scored a goal and literally like inches from being offside, they overturned it. They lost the game 1-0 or whatever it was.
But the right calls.
2-1. The right call was made. It's hard for the fan, but the right call was made, and that game ended the way that it should have ended based off of that. And I just kind of think that the NFL should look at that. And it's like, okay, they blew that call, but then they blew the block in the back, which was clearly a block in the back. Like it was mind-blowingly
crazy.
a block
And,
in the back.
Even before the play that was a face mask, like there was a throw to one of the Green Bay receivers
pass interference potential.
that was just massively underthrown, and the Green Bay receiver just full out hugs the Lions defensive player. I think it was Caduce.
That could have been defensive,
And, like,
or that could have been defensive pass interference.
It could have been
on
both,
Detroit.
but
He was
if
looking
you're-
back for the
he-
ball though.
yeah.
But and the funny thing about that is, like, I want to talk about Dallas. Like, I've seen that call actually a lot now. they're letting guys not look back at the ball like in Dallas, and they're letting it go a lot this season. So I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe there was
It's
a talk to the referees about that, but specifically that Green Bay receiver fully wrapped his hands around the Detroit Lions DB. I think it was Caduce, and just the stuff that goes on calls towards the end of the game to make it a great kind of end to a game, but it's just not the way it should have been. The Lions should have gotten a victory here. Have got a victory here.
They definitely should have. I feel like it's ultimately the bottom line is consistency, and there's no consistent refereeing between these refs, and it's something that you know what I mean. It's Pee Wee. We deal with that in a recreational league that certain refs are more senior than others, and it's okay, that's a recreational league. This is the NFL. This is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, and you can't get refereeing.
You have professional referees, and you have the advantage of having some of the best cameras in the world and the ability to go back and look at your mistakes and say, okay, we were wrong. Let's change it because we were wrong, and the Lions deserved to win. But that didn't happen.
Ref stats. I think it would fix everything.
Yeah, ref stats for sure. Actually, would be pretty awesome.
I can deal with that blown face mask call at the end of the game if I knew that ref made that mistake only once out of every 5,000 times or something.
Yeah.
But if that's a common mistake, then I want him fired. I do.
Yeah.
So I think that would answer. Plus, put a little GoPro in their pocket so that way you can see, or on their heads, so you can see exactly, not like a big giant one, but so you can see exactly what they're seeing.
Awesome.
So you can be listen, you were looking right at it, you missed it, and it's easier to calibrate and that type of stuff. I think that just embrace technology and embrace stats and embrace accountability, and then you don't need to. NFL games are so long. The last thing I want is to have 5 more reviews in each game.
No, you're right about that. Stuff like that, though, I feel and I'm not saying it because I'm a Lions fan, because it always happens, but it makes you wonder. The game was getting out of hand, and why were those pass interference calls being made?
As a fan, you can't help but wonder.
It was okay, are they just trying to give Aaron Rodgers the opportunity to, give him a second chance to get back into this game? And I kind of feel that's what's happening. I feel
the only saving grace,
Detroit, we're not the darlings of the NFL.
The only saving grace for that is when we were completely out of the playoffs, or seemingly completely out of the playoffs. We got in the first time we played Green Bay this year, we had a ton of non-calls in that game. I thought
it's true. Actually,
so then that just means refs
just suck.
Is it a different? It must have been a different crew. I actually don't know that it was.
If it was the same crew, they suck. If there were 2 different crews, that means 2 crews suck. So, honestly, choice A is probably the better of the 2, because then I know that there's less crews that suck. Just one really bad one, maybe. I don't know. But we can, I guess, talk about the game, because it actually wasn't a bad one by the Lions, and they had a pretty good game. I thought Stafford looked really good again, and this is what we were hoping from him in the beginning of the season was Stafford. I said Stafford normalizing and playing like himself, and he's starting to do that consistently. And we were going to talk about we were going to have kind of a look into who maybe replaces Stafford, and he closed our door. He closed that door for us. That conversation is completely on hold, because how could you possibly?
Yeah, right now my answer is who can replace Matt Stafford? Matt Stafford.
Matt Stafford playing good.
That's it.
Good Matt Stafford.
I mean, he's played great. He looks comfortable in the offense, and that begs the question: is it worth wholesale changes on the coaching staff to restart with another offense again? Because if they bring in a new head coach, what are the chances Cooter stays?
No, you're right, and it's crazy because everybody just keeps talking about how special of a guy he is, and that if there was for some reason a new coach coming in, it's you need to keep this guy here. And it's it would be so weird. Have we ever seen something like that where a new coach came in and kept an offensive or defensive coordinator?
I can think of a few defensive coordinator examples. I don't know that I can. I'm not to say it hasn't happened, but I don't think I can think of an offensive coordinator that stayed. Especially because you think that Detroit's going to target an offensive coach because that's where their money's invested.
Yeah.
Although you don't know who the GM's going to be, so it's hard to say.
No.
So I want to throw out a scenario. So let's say we keep the entire coaching staff and everything stays the same, and next year we start off 1-4. Then Jim Bob Cooter's gone, and it's the same mess all over again.
But do we start off 1-4 because our offense sucks, or is it because the defense?
Just we start off 1-4.
here's the thing.
It depends who we'd have to play. It'd all be a scenario.
I know, but I'm saying
We
like
see that this team can get streaky and they can run off with
yeah,
a few
but
wins. Like,
but what I mean is that okay, so there were points in time where Jim Lombardi looked good, or Joe Lombardi. Sorry.
Not really. Honestly,
even
no.
I think Jim Lombardi was pretty good, eh?
Jim
Lombardi's way better.
Joe
than
Lombardi
guy.
looked good for a game this season.
I don't think so.
What game?
The game against
The last 2 minutes against Seattle, maybe.
Well,
Only,
I guess you could
And
say
I would,
that, but-
I would always never count our 2-minute offense because we've always had a decent 2-minute offense. And I feel like that the onus is more on like
he
Stafford.
just gets it done for sure.
Exactly.
Even Payne
So
says it all the time.
I wouldn't give that.
But there were games even last year that without like Calvin Johnson, and you could say like they weren't super
They
high.
weren't really explosive last year.
Hold on, they weren't super high like scoring games, but you know a fan could say, well, they didn't have Calvin Johnson in that game, so you know it wasn't a bad game, and that's the reason. Like you know, people always make up an excuse as to why.
Our defense won us a lot of games, though. I think last year.
Oh, definitely.
For sure, they
and I'm just
I
playing
think it
devil's
over-
advocate here.
No, I know you are,
for
yeah.
sure that Joe Lombardi was just pure trash. But so let's say that we kind of have a similar. Like we just start off bad for whatever reason next year.
It just seemed he just overcomplicated things, and I don't know if maybe like Jim Bob being like a former quarterback just kind of understands the fact of that, and you know looking to just try and make things more simple for the quarterback because like Stafford just looks so much more comfortable. He's a leader. He's yelling at guys because guys aren't in the right position.
I was talking
and
to
it's
him.
unreal like to see like that. It's just like a total like complete change.
I was talking to Mady the other day, and I thought that I think for sure that Stafford has 3 plays when he walks up to the line that he can audible to and from, just like Manning. You can almost see it. He's got to have two run plays and a pass play, I think.
Maybe, or it's. I think he has the option to check. You could see that he definitely. I mean, he's told me he's checked into runs before,
And we know that.
but he did that under Lombardi too. I think that it's.
we know that he didn't do it successfully under Lombardi, though.
I think it's the route. I think that there's route adjustment freedom between him and the receiver to be able to adjust to a blitz. I don't know if it's a full play change or not, but there is definitely the opportunity to change the route of a receiver. For sure. I don't know if that's a sight adjustment or a hot route, but both. I mean, there's something there.
And you
for
could
sure.
see Stafford on one play in game yelling at Tate because he didn't run the right route.
And it was for a blitz too. I mean, for sure. So I don't know. But one thing I want to say about the whole coaching thing, I've come to the conclusion that.
Can we answer that question after you're done?
What's the-
Of like, what do we do if we start slow next season?
Well, this is where I'm going with it though. This is what I'm kind of addressing is that I think that you. Because you're saying if you
so like
stay true,
we look really good right now, but we're obviously going to. Well, it looks like we're going to finish the season really strong. So what if next season we start off slow?
so
What do we do? Do we wait?
That's why I don't think you have anything to lose, and the reason why I think that is because if you keep your coaching staff now, you have an opportunity to evaluate them at least over a part of next season, and you're not going to have a GM until January. And probably that means you're going to miss out on all the big coaching candidates, whoever they might be, because they're going to go to other teams before you even have a GM. So, are you going to go to a second-tier coach? Or just wait another season, see if what you got is clicking. Maybe you hold on to Austin, maybe you hold on to Cooter, you bank on your coordinators and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then you have like, as soon as it opens, you can get the big name next year, you know?
Because the feeling to me is that if we start slow next year, there won't be it'll be complete fire sale. There won't be any member of the coaching staff or GM staff that will be behind.
But at least you have a
Just
full
on
off season to
principle.
replace them at that point. Where
Oh,
now, whoever the big
No, I'm
names
saying
might
if you
be,
start slow next season, mid-season, they're gonna fire everybody,
maybe they should, But like I think that
and then
you might as well do
it's another year. So
That's
But
I'm trying to take a look into the mindset of like.
what happens if you hire a new coach and you start off 1-4? Then
Exactly,
you
yeah.
can't fire them. You have 2 more years of suffering.
No, definitely, but I'm saying at least I don't want that to happen. Obviously, so we're sure I want to stick with this coaching staff because
you do want to stick with this
oh
coaching
yeah,
staff?
definitely.
You believe in Jim Caldwell?
I'm not sure I believe in Jim Caldwell 100%.
I wish this was
But-
a video podcast so people could have saw your reaction before you answered.
It was pretty instant. Like
it was pretty quick.
I'm not
but it was
I'm not
never-
sure that I believe in Jim Caldwell, but I never have since day one. I didn't want him. I've never wanted him. I wanted a more defensive-minded coach. I wanted Lovie Smith. And I'm never going to say that would have been the right choice either. But that is who I wanted, and that's like, so I'd never wanted Jim Caldwell. That's why it like maybe took a second for me to say no, but like that's always been my stance. I'm never wanted Jim Caldwell. I'm saying if I will take Jim Caldwell if it means that Austin
and that's
Jim Bob
that's the thing that's hard. It's like that's where I feel like I don't want him here
because I don't necessarily think that Jim Caldwell is a bad head coach. I actually think that he is very professional. I don't see him on a day-to-day basis with players. Matey can obviously give us more of a insight to how he is with players.
Like him a lot.
I think he's a great man. From what I see, he seems like a really good guy.
He's a smart guy.
He's a smart guy, but I don't think that he's a good game manager at all.
I
think he
makes.
I think time and time
again, I'm complaining about his use of timeouts and how terrible.
Why did you not? You had one timeout left. There was no time on the clock.
He's the worst time manager I've ever seen.
Why would you not take a timeout there? Reevaluate. Okay, listen. This is what we think they're going to do. Like already, like I know it's come out. Oh, we thought that they were going to lateral, and come on.
For the record, who do you think called that play? The hook.
Terrell Austin, probably.
Terrell Austin is the one that everyone loves, but everyone wants to
okay, but still though, right?
Ultimately,
Caldwell
hold on.
He could have stopped it.
Exactly.
Caldwell is the guy who has.
He could have stopped it. So why not call that timeout and say, okay, listen, let's reevaluate this and let's talk this over. What does it matter? That timeout's useless to you.
Jim Caldwell is a bad time management. In terms of NFL games, he's never been good.
No.
He uses timeouts.
Time management is a problem.
He uses timeouts every time in order to save the 2-minute warning. And it's the dumbest thing you can do. Every time.
He's had some strategic issues, but I don't know that I've had issues with his time management per se.
He wastes
strategy.
He's definitely got terrible strategy in the dwindling times of the game. Like the game's close to the end, he's making poor decisions, and I just.
But that's one thing that I believe he's bad at. I think that time and time again, if the Lions need the ball and there's 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, he's wasting time out so that they get the 2-minute warning, and it's the dumbest thing you can do. It's so stupid. I would rather have a minute 30 with a timeout in hand because I know that I can still use the middle of the field. Whereas if I have 2 minutes, I can't use the middle of the field. And guess what, DBs? Guess where I'm going? Like, it's stupid.
Yeah.
But I think, like, I love him when something goes wrong like this because I know that he's always going to be professional. And sometimes not being professional kind of, like, spread throughout the locker room. And I also believe that if he wasn't our head coach, nothing would have saved this season. Because he kind of, like, in the sense of saving this season, I give him a ton of credit. Because he could have been really emotional, and the locker room kind of takes after that emotion, and they all start fighting with each other and stuff like that. But, like, I talk to you all the time, and you're in the locker room, and you say that there isn't really fighting. Like, everyone's upset, but everyone is still kind of together, and they play together, even though, you know, they started off 1-7.
Yeah. I think he hasn't lost the locker room. I mean, it's tough. I don't know if that a player is ever going to say to you, like, I don't care about our coach anymore, but, I mean, you could see...
No, players say that.
Like,
yeah, but...
Players say that.
It takes a special player to be that much of a jerk, I feel like.
Dom Raiola, Dre Bly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but like...
special player. Like
they love the coach. It was
that's
more
what I
the
mean.
quarterback that they did.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. There's certain guys who are... There's probably a guy or two in our locker room. Golden Tate's one of them. Who says stuff off the top of his head.
He's an honest guy, for sure. I don't know.
So...
Yeah, no.
You know, if let's say Lovie Smith is here or Schwartz is here, I don't know that this team comes back from 1-7 at all. I don't know. In this type of situation, Caldwell might be the right guy in saving this team from complete disaster.
I mean, all he has to do is get the 6 wins, and he has a winning record as a Lions head coach.
Yeah, but I don't give a damn about that at all. I would drop him in a second, winning record or not.
The thing is, you have to replace him, and then you have to replace your coordinators, and I just. Because of the delay that you're going to cause in your coaching search, because of your GM search, I mean, there's ways around it.
I will take the headache of the 2-minute offense with no timeouts, because Stafford is still good, I think, enough to kind of beat that for the most part anyway.
Now, do you think then
just to keep those two
this
coordinators.
this is my thought. I don't like him. I don't really want him here, but I feel like, again, like we said, keep him here because of the other two guys being good. Now, what if Austin gets a head coaching job, goes away, stuff? You know what I mean? It's tough. Like, I feel like there's so many unknowns right now because we don't know who's going to be running this football team, and I feel like I've never been more excited to kind of see what's going to happen, but I'm also scared to see what's going to happen because it's either he's going to go with it or he's going to just blow it up. And right now I'm at the point where it's like I feel like more so I'm like, you might as well just go with it because what does Stafford have? 1 more year on his contract?
Yeah, if you blow it up, then it's the same. It's like what he was saying earlier. And I only brought up kind of that question to make this talking point in the first place, but what he was saying earlier. So, like, if you bring in a new coaching staff and you suck. So, right now they don't suck with this current coaching staff. Right now they're actually really impressive.
They look like a different
They
team.
do look,
since
yeah,
the
they
bye, right?
definitely look very different, and that's the thing.
When's the last time you could have pretend like you should have beaten the Green Bay Packers twice in a season?
1991.
There you go. I mean, it's been that long since you've had a team that could be that dangerous, and I would argue that like beating Aaron Rodgers, like I'm just gonna say you really did beat Aaron Rodgers twice.
I think
beating him twice is like how many teams can say that they do that in a season?
I think we need to see what the next few games.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Before we
it's
can
not
even have this
over.
conversation. Like,
but
we'll definitely have
at this point in
conversation
time,
again by the end of the season.
oh yeah, opinions on this podcast should change just as the NFL team that we love changes.
It's gonna go week to week for sure. I mean, you don't want to buy in too much because they've had 4 good weeks, even though one of them's a loss. So
But at
yeah,
this
let's
point in
see.
time, it looks good. It is good. They're playing good football. They're not making like the tackling. I would say is one of the most magnificent things that I've seen because at the beginning of the season, no one could tackle anyone, and all of a sudden, it's like guys are shoring up. Caduce is shoring up.
Do you think too though, like guys like Caduce, like getting their opportunity is they're looking at this is my opportunity. I'm getting a step in there.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Caduce
And
played
play-
good last
and-
year.
yeah.
I like
Yeah.
Caduce. I always thought he was a good player.
But it's crazy to think that like Hedebo was just sitting on the bench. You know what I mean? He's been benched, and he was the guy. You know, he was holding out for money. Like
I think
at the beginning of the
players-
year. And it's like now it's like okay, well, you're humbling yourself because Caduce has taken over your spot. You know, and it's nice to see. I think that's one thing what you said with Jim Caldwell, where he kind of like his demeanor is kind of followed onto them. Where instead of him being upset that he lost his job, he's encouraging these new guys. You know what I mean? And he's just like, okay, yeah, let's rally. We want to do the best for the team. And I do agree with that. It's just he's such a horrible game manager, and it's so hard to get away from that.
I've always I didn't know too much about him before he came here, but every time, man,
If I was playing Madden and I was down by 3
you would
points,
save your timeouts.
But I'm saying if I was playing Madden, I was down by 3 points. I was at my own 20. I'm throwing a Hail Mary. Obviously, I'm throwing a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
So it's like I just don't understand how, like, whether it's him or whether it's Terrell Austin, how do you not plan for that? How do you not have guys at our line,
You
not
know
behind,
what?
not
You
on
know
the
what I
back
would.
line,
You
on
know
the
what
goal
I would
line.
say is that I don't care what mistakes Calvin Johnson's made this year. He's out there on that play.
Yeah, and
I
he's
don't
not
care.
saying he's not saying anything.
And
right? I'm
he's
sure he was
and
asked
he's
that
been out.
question.
It's not
That
like
was
he's.
one of the big, big
It's not like
questions
he's
asked.
never been out there. He's done that successfully. Like we've seen him
We
bat down
practice
balls.
it. We practice it on Saturdays.
We've seen
I
him
heard
bat down
Golden Tate
balls.
Say it.
I mean, I know that it's a season where he was put in a position to secure the last win against Green Bay, and he failed to do so. But like that play that he made against Green Bay on the onside kick would have worked here. Just bat the ball down. Don't catch it.
Yeah.
Would have been the best
Exactly.
possible thing.
Have a guy, have the guys at the goal line. That's the worst thing. You watch it, the ball was so high, and you look at all the Lions guys, and like they're all behind
I
everybody.
think if
it's unreal.
flip
I don't
the
think they coached that. You can't possibly have coached that.
Okay, but I'm not even saying it. I'm not saying it in terms of coaching. What is wrong with our players? Why are they all behind all the Green Bay guys? It makes no sense to me. Like you
well,
play
most
football,
of the Green Bay guys had ran into the end zone. Richard Rodgers was the only one really that wasn't in the end zone at that point.
And then
So
you look at
everyone
the-
was with them.
where was Ansa?
Sideline. Defending the hook and ladder. I don't know. I mean, like, they still outnumber the Packers in the end zone. You would have liked to see them make a play. I mean, I don't know.
I think that
Your two tallest guys.
The only mistake
one off
you
the
made-
field, the other one.
Atlanta should have been rushing the passer for sure.
the only big mistake that you made was Calvin Johnson wasn't in the end zone. Calvin Johnson, that's his office. Like, even defensively, I've not seen a play where, like, if it's anywhere close to him and and he's defending, he's batted the ball down multiple times defending games.
It's tough. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still that exact play call against that exact play 50 more times. Probably 50 of them all go to the Lions.
And none of them go to Richard Rodgers, even the Green Bay victories. Like, are you kidding me?
It's tough.
I didn't have that much time.
James Jones
he had
doesn't
enough
get
time to look down to see where he was at position, look back up, and make a huge catch.
They should have.
They
They
said
should
that-
have set the edge better on that play.
They said that even the time in the air, they said that if it was in Dallas, that it would have hit the jumbotron.
I don't know if that's true. I think someone said that, but I don't know if that's like a measurement.
It looked like a crazy, like higher than any punt that happened that game.
It was the moon ball.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's tough, man. I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, it's painful, but I hate to focus too much on that because I mean, I think Daryl Tapp said, I guarantee this will never happen again. And probably it's a pretty safe guarantee. Like,
that's
You're right.
It's a freak
because
play,
usually it just happens against us.
well, usually Calvin Johnson just bats it down, but
Like, you're there. We talked about like what this. How do you feel though? You're a fan. We're all fans. How did you feel like when you were walking by and
yes or no? Should Calvin Johnson been on the field? In one word.
I don't know.
That's more than one
I don't
word.
think it's unreasonable to have expected the hook and ladder, but they just did the hook and ladder play. Like,
Okay, but
15 yards.
But
before.
Calvin Johnson's played football his entire life, and when you play football your entire life, you play the defensive end too. I know he hasn't played defense in years, but like, you can't tell me that the biggest freak on the field on both sides of the ball, the best human specimen and the best football player, one of the smarter players on the field, besides maybe Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know. If it's a hook and ladder play, Calvin Johnson's definitely not on the field for me. Obviously.
I think he is.
For
I
hook
don't
and
care.
ladder?
Yeah, who cares?
No, that doesn't make any sense for hook and ladder.
So, but every one of those plays, every one of those deep ball plays that I've mentioned could have just as easily been one of the receivers' stops and hooks and ladders. So you are gambling every time you put Calvin Johnson out for those long plays. But guess what? There are 5 offensive linemen on the field and 3 defensive linemen. That, to me, allows Calvin Johnson to be in the game because you have 5 guys that aren't running the hook and ladder.
But you have 6 guys in the end zone, so you would
And one that overpowers all of them and is taller than all of them.
you have the numbers in the. I mean, is Calvin Johnson going to be in the back of the end zone with the other guys, or is he going to be up front with Richard Rodgers? Is he gonna,
I don't think he's that dumb.
No. You know where Calvin Johnson's going to be? Wherever the ball lands, because it was a damn moon ball that took 6 seconds to land. This is his job.
And that's what made it even worse.
He does it
Because right
all
when
the
it's thrown, you're
time.
like, oh man, no, and
That like
I don't want to talk about it
every
anymore.
every fade that Calvin Johnson goes to catch, he has, like, Sports Science a while ago did it. It was the most ridiculous area of coverage that Calvin Johnson has to defend that play.
I mean,
And
it's tough. I mean, obviously, hindsight's easy to say. I can't honestly look at you guys and say in real time I would have done the same. They just ran a hook and ladder play. They're still 60 plus yards away from the end zone. I understand Aaron Rodgers has a big arm, but you'd like to think that your 6 guys can cover. What is it? They have 4 guys or 5 guys in the end zone?
probably both.
They must have 5 because they had the 5 offensive linemen plus Rodgers, so 6 to 5 in the end zone.
The argument you're giving is not invalid, but
It's tough. Hindsight, yeah. Obviously, if I could go
Calvin
back in
Johnson
time,
on the
Calvin
field
Johnson would
every
be on
time.
the field
From
and
now
have
until the day he
8 people in
retires.
the end zone.
Yeah. From now until the day he leaves the Lions. He's
But
on the field
the
every
funny
season.
part is the Lions do put Calvin. They have done it. I think as recently as this year, if I'm not mistaken. They put him.
That's my point. It's
So,
like he's out there.
it's just-
That's like.
The problem was they just anticipated the wrong play, and I can't completely fault them for expecting another hook and
Yeah.
ladder.
Imagine they called the timeout, reevaluated, and then put Calvin Johnson on the field. Imagine how loud it would have been. everybody would have went crazy.
Well, I mean, I
Because they
don't,
would have known.
I don't
100%.
think the crowd noise makes a difference
100%.
at this point. They're
It
not
doesn't
audible
make a
lang,
difference,
they're
but
not-
it pumps through your veins. Tell me, like, so my question initially was, how did you feel when you went back there to do the interviews and you heard what did you tell us before the show that you heard coming out of the Green Bay locker room?
they were chanting Richard Rodgers like in.
Like a college football game, like
Kinda, yeah.
at the big house, it shook the whole Lions locker room.
It was rowdy. Like there's the cement walls, and I'm hearing this. I couldn't see them. Wasn't in the same room as the Packers. I was on the other side of a cement wall.
But you
It was-
felt them like a firework
Oh, it was-
booming. You could feel it in your
So,
heart.
as a Lions fan, how did you feel?
I mean, obviously, it's already deflating.
Yeah.
Like it's
So turn it the other way too. If they would have called the timeout, you seen that Calvin wasn't on the field, being perceptive, and then you see him jog out there towards the end zone. Tell me you're not going to go crazy. Tell me like the fans aren't going to go crazy. Tell me that like everybody's not going to get electric. For sure they are, and I think emotion definitely
what I
plays
do?
a huge part in this game.
You want to know what I
And
do?
I think we're deflated after the penalty. I'm
I'm not saying this in hindsight. I'm not saying this in hindsight at all. I'm saying like as a personal philosophy, if ever there is 0 seconds on the clock and the quarterback sends all of his players deep, I'm rushing 4 guys and I'm bringing a blitzer. I'm like, that's my personal thing. It's I mean, the prevent defense.
you had the
and
two extra guys in the situation anyway.
what they did in that game isn't necessarily unwarranted. Many teams do it. We said it, I think, 4 or 5 times already. That play, if you run it 100 times against that exact defense, isn't successful for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
But for me personally, if you're asking Stefan, what do you do defensively? I'm rushing 4 and a 5th blitzer, and I'm just smashing Aaron Rodgers in the face.
No, I don't. I understand. I mean, you blitz on 3rd and 7 commonly in the NFL, so I'm like essentially 4th and 61.
Go ahead and throw your little lateral. I got a linebacker who just rushed that you just got by coming from behind. And I know that you're going to slow up and you're going to try and lateral. Like, guess who's there to defend it?
No, I agree, but then it's tough because then the reverse is if they break a long one because you didn't have an extra guy back, then you're crucified. Like it's just
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's results. It's
the
all
numbers,
results.
but like, yeah, 100%. And the one play that works against the blitz thing in this scenario, we're still sitting here. You know what I mean?
It's tough, but I mean it sucks. In hindsight, definitely they called the wrong play. Definitely Calvin Johnson should have been on the field, but I mean I don't know. That's not the issue. I mean the blown call was an issue. The fact that the offense only scored a few points. The
issue is that we lost the game and we didn't win.
The Golden Tate and Stafford not being on the same play. I mean these are all. There was a play that Stafford had where he had Riddick matched up against a linebacker. I think it was in the 3rd quarter, maybe even in the 4th quarter, and the ball, you could see it slipped out of Stafford's hand. He wiped his hand after. I mean, that's a huge matchup, and who knows what Riddick does to that linebacker.
Oh, and just Stafford had a awful day hitting Calvin long.
Yeah, that's a couple missed deep balls too, for sure.
And runaway deep balls too.
And then again, you look at the fact that you punch it out of the hands right into the end zone. It's covered up by Randall Cobb.
Oh yeah, the fumble.
Like that's where it all started, right?
Those
there.
two fumble, the Lions fumble, and then the Packers fumble for a touchdown. No, it's tough, man. Like they should have won. That
On the other side of things, like if we would have got a win that way, oh man, we would be talking about that for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, for sure we would be, but we never do, so that's why we'd be talking about it.
When's the last time we talked about a win that was that great? Like the most amazing victory?
I remember there was a couple in
the Dallas comeback.
The Dallas comeback, yeah, that was
awesome.
There was a couple in the 10-6 year. They come back against Oakland. They were like on the 1 yard line, had to go 99 yards.
Remember
or whatever it was.
The Stafford one against Cleveland in his rookie season when
I would
injured.
say that's probably my best one because of the mic'd up afterwards.
So awesome! Actually, they played the mic'd up too, before they played the terrible loss, and they played the Dan Miller clip, and it was so good. So good. Just watching him, you see Dante Culpepper out there, and he's like, they call a timeout. He's like,
everything was good.
I can go in. Everything, I can throw the ball.
Everything about that Cleveland game was just set up for great storylines. Sean Rodgers rushing him, hit him, was the guy who hit him, and gets up, he pats him on the butt. It's a good job, big man. Oh man.
I just feel like stuff like that makes me I don't know. I just love Stafford. I really do. Is I look at a lot of the good stuff over the bad. And it's this year it was tough this year, but
I'll pull a Mike Mady. He's great character. Love him. I cut him in a second if it means I had a Super Bowl in my pocket.
Well, I mean, like if you can get the next Aaron Rodgers or something, you have to
Trade him in a second.
But
No, that's true.
I don't think that there is any argument that there's a better option out there outside of Matthew Stafford next year. He
Yeah, at
has
this
to be
point.
back.
You
next
don't,
year.
you don't
this
hear
point,
anybody saying otherwise unless they're in Detroit.
Unless they're a Detroit fan, or they're
Yeah,
like
Detroit fan
Ian
or
Rappaport
Detroit-
who's making stuff up.
Exactly.
Stafford's good. He's playing well, and I mean, let's see what happens. But he even like kind of lights up a little bit when he talks about this offense. Like he doesn't say anything negative about the previous offenses, but he really seems to like this one. I remember even when like it looked like Linehan and Schwartz were out, I asked him after one of the losses late in the season, "Are you going to lobby to keep these guys? Like, you're the franchise quarterback. Are you going to lobby?" And he's like, "No, I don't really." You know, he kind of brushed it off, but he didn't say yes.
Yeah.
And that to me tells me that he liked them, but you know, either like how would you not put it on the line for those guys if you really cared that much about them? So he just seems to have a different sort of embrace for this offense.
I feel like too, like he probably, the fact that him and Jim Bob Cooter are so close in age too. I think
man. What
they
happens
can relate.
when
They basically
both
could be
Southern
buddies.
kind of?
Yeah,
What
exactly.
happens when a Texan and a Tennessean walk into a bar? Good old gunslinging Southern football. I love it.
And I talked about how much I love the Linehan offense. I talked about how much I hated the Lombardi offense. I mean, Cooter's offense isn't like revolutionary. I love the way he's doing it, though. There was a play against the Packers where they lined up like they were going to run. Stafford was under center. He's barely ever under center, like 30% of the time. He's under center. Joik Bell's there. 100% they're running the ball. And they run a screen to Joik Bell, and he busts a big play, and you watch the Packers flow with the line because it's the tendencies, the things that Tates were talking about earlier in the season, like they're using it against other teams now. And that's good play design. That's good play calling.
Yeah. No, it's awesome to see, and like we said before, he just looks so much more comfortable. You see him out there, and he's scrambling, he's running for first downs, and he's just doing. He's leading the team. He's leading that offense. It's exactly what you wanted.
The play that Stafford ran his touchdown against, where they had the like 4 diamond bunch to the left, and they had the Kelvin to the right. A team ran that play this weekend. I watched them run that exact play. God, who was it? It was one of the quarterback. Oh, it was the Bengals. The Bengals ran that play, the identical version of that play. And I don't know if the Lions are the first team that ever done it, but like it's a copycat league, and I wouldn't be surprised if teams saw that and they
Pun
copied
intended.
it. They had both cat teams, I guess. Yeah, good call.
And on that note,
Yeah. So we're gonna try out a new segment here. It's called
it's a very exciting time.
"Who the flip are ya?" Who the flip are you? So I'm gonna be Aaron Rodgers, and you're gonna ask the question.
Who the flip are you?
No. You're gonna. The question is supposed to be, was it a face mask?
Was it a face mask?
Was it a face mask? Are you kidding me? You're asking me, Aaron Rodgers, the greatest quarterback of all time. It doesn't matter if it was a face mask. I don't throw the flags. I throw the bombs, baby. I beat you the first game. Only if my kicker's leg was as good as my arm. I beat you this game. I beat you every game we play. The only problem is I have no teammates. My head coach doesn't even want to call plays anymore. I'm so good. Are you kidding me?
I don't think Aaron Rodgers is that arrogant.
No, I'm just saying.
Here is a question that I have. I know we've always had this conversation. You and I have been on the side of like, Aaron Rodgers is a good guy. He's not bad. After that game, do you still feel this way? Now that you said that, he's a good guy.
Aaron Rodgers is awesome, man.
You really like him? He's a good guy?
I would trade any combination of 10 players on the Lions roster for Aaron Rodgers.
I loathe Aaron Rodgers.
Any combination
I
of
love
10
Aaron
players.
Rodgers. I can't stand Aaron Rodgers. I can't stand Green Bay now. I have the hatred. Like, I've seen the dark side, and I feel the power
He's
right now.
so good,
I don't
man.
know. I don't care if he's good. I hate him.
So
I hate him.
on the flip side, we're gonna do a who the flip are you? You're gonna be Jim Caldwell.
I'm gonna be Jim Caldwell.
Jim Caldwell, you keep your job next season?
Check the
Me?
injury report.
I'm Jim Caldwell.
You're Jim Caldwell.
We're gonna be talking about St. Louis.
We may have to frown when you do this.
We're gonna be talking about St. Louis. This is next week. That's what we're gonna be talking about. We're not talking about next season. Doesn't matter about my job. We're gonna be talking about St. Louis. We gotta get ready. playing Aaron Donald. We're going to see Nick Fairley. I mean, we got a Nick Foles. Talking about next week. So what do we think about next week, guys?
I think that's a more accurate portrayal of Caldwell.
That was a very good
the Aaron Rodgers.
No, I just wanted to over exaggerate because it felt like he was just a bad man. Aaron Rodgers just a bad man coming into town to steal all your good feelings.
Aaron Rodgers did come into town, and he definitely stole all my feelings. And like in the immortal words of Milhouse's dad, "Can I borrow a feeling?" Because I really, really need one right now.
Oh God, yeah. This week, St. Louis, Nick Fairley.
Ooh, Nick Fairley.
I'm not as worried about Nick Fairley.
I'm not worried about.
We get the arm breaker, Aaron Donald.
I am worried about Aaron Donald and that chip on his shoulder.
The man we should have drafted.
Tell me you wouldn't love to be playing alongside like.
How good was
Ezekiel
Eric
Ansah?
Ebron this week? Oh, I wish this was a video podcast just so you could see my disdained face after that one.
Aaron Donald is a monumental, potential franchise-changing missed draft pick.
100% he is, for sure.
But
We ran out of Kleenex after the last couple weeks, so we can't really cry over this spilled milk.
In any case, the St. Louis Rams have started to kind of... They've reached... I guess they haven't had a good season.
Yeah, they were a
overall,
team that
but
had promise, and it's like Jeff Fisher's on the hot seat, just like Jim Caldwell is.
They're starting to cool down. They didn't have like a... They weren't like one of the better teams in the league.
No,
They need the quarterback. They haven't found that guy yet. But
I think Jenkins hurt himself too last game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And he's been playing well this year.
So we get them a little bit banged up. Big old Nick Fairley back in town.
Well,
I don't know.
We're going to visit them.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So, I don't know. Well, what do you guys think? Do we have any thoughts about this week? And is it a winnable game?
definitely winnable. I know that's the theme of this. Definitely winnable.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we actually win this week.
It's hard.
I do.
I'm more laughing at the fact of him like, nah. I don't know.
It's St. Louis is another one of those kind of scary teams for me though, because I always talk about like the tougher team, and they seem to be really tough, like a hard hitting group of defensive players too. But I just don't like Nick Foles.
I definitely think it's a nice challenge. It's a nice challenge for this team, and the team that's not going to make the playoffs. But it's a challenge to move forward. You know, it's a good test for this offense.
I think
see them play a decent defense.
Yeah, St. Louis is a lot better than what they are, and I think they're kind of in a similar situation to the Lions. Their record does not reflect the talent that's on that team. And
they're loaded talent-wise.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe they probably will have to go through some coaching changes. They're probably going to go through a location change at some point. But yeah, I don't know. The talent that's on that team is just absurd. But sometimes it is just coaching, and I was afraid of the Oakland talent. But like in that game, the coaching just was wrong, and I was afraid of coaching against the Eagles game, and the coaching was just god awful.
Yeah, we really I thought that they would win. But I thought it was going to be a high-scoring game. I did not think that we were just going to destroy Philly like that.
I do remember saying, like, at some point in the podcast, like, I would love if Mark Sanchez played, and that like, if you asked me again if that would have changed my pick, I probably would have picked a win.
I don't think Sanchez was a problem.
He
in that
wasn't.
game.
No. But I'm saying that, like, if before the game, I probably would have changed that pick to a win if I knew for sure that Mark Sanchez was playing. But again, you're right. He didn't play bad. He didn't really do anything. Like, the Lions didn't allow him. They played really well defensively, but their offense was awful and their defense was just atrocious. The Eagles' defense was just like
the team quit on.
But not even that. The coaching was so stupid. Yeah. Like, you have your starter was getting burned, and the rookie comes in, and the Lions match him up against Calvin Johnson, and you just leave him out on an island. Are you serious? Do you have an NFL job the next week? What is wrong with you?
I honestly don't understand it. It made no sense watching that game. It was awesome to watch, though. Obviously, as a Lions fan,
oh yeah, it was amazing. Enjoyable. But like, especially as a revenge win for the freaking Snow Bowl.
Snow Bowl.
But I don't know.
So looking at this week, then
our official picks. I'm
we
saying
have to have the official picks.
The Lions win this week.
I think the Lions are going to go to St. Louis, and I'm going to say they're going to bounce back, and they're going to win this week too.
Say loss.
All right, you always got to be different.
Mike Meany's going to take the lead in the picks, I think.
I'm not. Do we know what the score is?
I think we're all tied. You might actually be trailing by 1.
I don't think we're tied. I'm way ahead. I'm
Well.
fantastic at these picks.
Oh, wow.
I have no
I
idea.
picked the Green Bay game. I knew we were going to lose that game. You didn't get the memo?
No.
Oh.
I would have picked loss for the record.
I would have picked loss as well. So.
All right. Well, on that note, thanks again for showing up today.
I hope to
Mike,
never
thanks
see
for having
you
me.
in this state again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to St. Louis. Let's close out the last 4 games strong, and let's have a good time, and we'll see who the flip you are. Thanks.
Don't worry, Vince Longo. It gets better. And all those optimistic Lions fans.
It always gets better. So check.
12-step program. Pick up your pamphlets today.
It's going to happen. We're going to have it on the website. Check it out. SustainedPridePodcast.com. Check us out on Facebook. Like us. Give us some content for next week. If you want any questions, we're definitely ready to answer them. And good luck, everybody, on your fantasy football playoffs.
Don't forget, Mike Meady, Lions Report.
Goodbye.